What if I told you that the rainbow-colored houses of Cinque Terre weren't painted for tourists, but for something far more urgent, something that saved an entire way of life from disappearing forever? Picture this. 5 tiny villages clinging to the edge of the Italian Riviera, stacked like colorful blocks against steep cliffs. Turquoise waters crash below. Bright pink, yellow, and orange houses glow in the sun. It looks like a dream, a place designed for postcards. But what you're seeing isn't just pretty decoration. It's the result of a quiet rebellion, a clever strategy born from hardship, isolation, and the fierce will of fishing families who refused to let their home fade away for centuries. These villages weren't a tourist destination. They were remote, difficult to reach, and survived mostly on fishing and small-scale farming. Life here was tough. The cliffs were steep, the sea was unpredictable, and the land offered little. But the people of Cinque Terre were resilient. They built terraced vineyards on near-vertical slopes and fished in small wooden boats called gozzi. Their communities were tight-knit, their traditions strong. And for a long time that was enough. But by the mid-20th century, everything began to change. The Italian economic boom drew young people away to cities like Genoa and Milan. Fishing became less profitable. The terraced hills, once lush with vineyards, started to crumble from neglect. Cinque Terre was emptying out. Some feared it would become a ghost coast, beautiful but abandoned. That's when something shifted. Not because of a government plan or a marketing campaign, but because of paint. Let's rewind a bit. Why were the houses painted in the first place? Long before Instagram, the fishermen of Cinque Terre used color as a practical tool. When they sailed back to shore after long days at sea, they needed to spot their home village from a distance. Each village developed its own palette: pastel yellows in Monterosso, rose and ochre in Manarola, vibrant blues and greens in Vernazza. The colors acted as beacons, guiding fishermen safely through fog and rough weather. But as the villages began to decline, the colors took on a new meaning. They became a symbol of identity, a way for the remaining families to say, "We are still here." In the 1970s, as tourism slowly trickled in, locals realized something powerful. Visitors were drawn to the colors. They took photos. They told friends. They came back, so the communities made a conscious decision. They began restoring the facades, not just maintaining tradition, but amplifying it. They used bold, bright tones to make the villages stand out even more against the blue sea and green hills. It wasn't just about aesthetics, it was a survival tactic. By turning their homes into art, they gave people a reason to visit. And visit they did. By the 1990s, Cinque Terre was gaining international attention. Guidebooks called it a hidden gem. Backpackers hiked the coastal trails between villages. The colorful houses became iconic, showing up in films, magazines, and eventually all over social media. But this created a new challenge: how to handle the crowds without losing the soul of the place. The villages responded with careful balance. They limited large-scale development, preserved historic buildings, and maintained the pedestrian-only nature of the towns. Cars were banned in the centers. Trains and boats became the main ways in. Local restaurants kept serving traditional dishes like anchovies from Riomaggiore and pesto made from basil grown on the terraces. The colors were repainted regularly, not for the cameras, but as an ongoing act of cultural pride. Today, Cinque Terre is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected not just for its beauty, but for its cultural landscape. The way humans and nature have shaped each other here for 1,000 years. The colorful houses are more than a photo op. They're a statement, a declaration that this place, against all odds, held on. It adapted without losing itself. It welcomed the world while staying deeply local. And if you look closely, you'll see that the story of Cinque Terre isn't really about paint. It's about people who refused to let their home become a memory. They used color as both a compass and a flag, guiding them through change, and signaling to the world that some places are worth preserving, not in museums, but in full, vibrant life. Have you ever visited a place that surprised you with its hidden history? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you want more untold stories of the world's most fascinating places, subscribe to Wonder Explorer.